opinion of this body that the items on today's agenda constitute essential business and that meeting electronically is necessary to protect the health, safety, and welfare of Tennesseans in light of the COVID-19 outbreak. Are there any objections? Today's meeting is being live streamed on Metro ITS and Metro Network 2. I'd like to also remind today's participants, when you're addressing the group, if you would please be sure and introduce yourself before you speak and remind us of who you are and who you're representing. And at this time, we will go through the board and ask members to let us know if they have joined us. We'll start with our Vice Chair, Kathy Bender.
Present.
How about Secretary Wynn? Is he on yet, Emmett? Margaret Bem? Don Deering?
Present.
Jad Duncan is unable to participate today, so we will note his absence. Glenn Farner?
I'm present.
Melvin Gill?
Here.
John Glassmeyer?
Here.
Frank Harrison?
Here.
Dan Hogan?
I'm here.
Aaron McGee?
Present.
Anna Page? First on our agenda today, we have consideration of our meeting minutes from our September 17th meeting. On Friday, you should have received the draft of the minutes. Are there any comments? We would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
A motion that we approve the minutes as stated.
Is there a second?
I second.
All right. I believe it's probably best just to go through and have a roll call vote for everything. So bear with me, guys. We'll do this as quick as we can. Kathy Bender?
I'm in favor.
John Deering?
Aye.
Glenn Farner?
Aye.
Melvin Gill?
Yes.
John Glassmeyer?
Yes.
Frank Harrison?
Yes.
Dan Hogan?
Yes.
Aaron McGee?
Yes.
Ayes have it. The minutes are approved. Next up, we'll have the Women's Pro Sports Ad Hoc Committee report. Our Vice Chair, Kathy Bender, will give us the committee update. Kathy?
Yes. Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Madam Chair. The ad hoc committee met on October 14th to discuss potential next steps for the Women's Sports Initiative. The committee reviewed the recommended next steps outlined in the consultant's report. We developed our priorities and discussed the importance of connecting with the league and better understanding their expansion and relocation plans, etc. We also talked about the importance of timing. So we know that timing is of great importance, and it is a front of mind for us. We discussed identifying suitable venues that might have potential. Several members of the advisory committee attended, including Michelle Kennedy, Ian Ayer, and Scott Ramsey. We also had the CAA icon, from CAA icon, Dan Barrett and Brian Slater. And the committee had great dialogue, great discussion, and input from those who represented. We also had some board members present. But the committee recommended hiring a consultant to assist authority with next steps. We also agreed to recommend outsourcing a group to perform a community survey. And yesterday, I did sit in with the Finance Committee on behalf of the ad hoc committee and reported our recommendations to the Finance Committee, since they would need to recommend final approval of any funding source for us to move forward with phase 2. And so you will hear more from, I think, Finance Committee about their position on our recommendations in this meeting. And that concluded the meeting. Thank you, Madam Chair. Any questions, comments, anything from the committee? Well, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. And as Kathy indicated, I'm sure we'll hear more when we have a lengthy Finance Committee update, and I know that was a piece of it as well. So thank you all for participating in that meeting yesterday, who many of you were able to do so. At this time, we will move on to our Executive Director's report. Monica Falknotson, please give us your ED report.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being on the call today. You see the agenda on the screen. Following my report, we'll have a report from the Finance Committee, as the chair just mentioned, with several recommendations for the board to take up. We'll also hear from the Mls Stadium team today, including our construction and project managers during the Mls Stadium update. Following the stadium update, the board will take up a couple of action items. The first one is a land use agreement related to a possible historic marker at First Horizon Park commemorating the history of women's suffrage and Suffrage Day at the old Sulphurdale Ballpark. And the second one is a resolution which would authorize the chair to execute the license agreement with Competitor Group, Inc. for the use of Nissan Stadium facilities for the Rock and Roll Marathon coming up on November the 21st. Our final agenda item is always important, and that's the facility reports, where the board will hear from our facility managers and get an update on what's going on in our venues and with the teams. And in the interest of time, we've asked our teams to keep their reports to 5 minutes this month. I know there's a lot they can share, but we have a full agenda again. We'll start with the Titans and then move to the Predators and then to the Sounds. Are there any questions about the agenda? Okay, well, moving on, several of you have asked about our new office space and how things are coming along. And so I'm pleased to report that our build out is complete, and we are currently in the process of moving into the new space. We're in the same building. We're excited, and we look forward to having you come visit when the time is right. Also, I wanted to mention that back in, I think it was September, I had the opportunity, along with our project managers and Mary Guevara and Ian Ayer, to go through the safety training class that Mortensen Messer requires for everyone that's working on the stadium construction site. I thought it was very informative, extremely thorough. And then afterwards, we had a chance to walk the site. And so we'd like to look at scheduling a time for our board members who are interested in going over to the site. I think some of the Fair Board members were out there maybe last week, maybe the week before, but more information to come on that. If you're interested, you can go ahead and let me know, and then we'll look for a date that works. Other than that, I think the agenda tells the best story of what's going on in the office. It's a busy time for everyone. We really appreciate your hard work and your support. Are there any questions? If not, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Monica. And if board members are interested in the tour, please just email Monica of your interest and maybe availability or times that absolutely wouldn't work. Next up, we will hear from our Finance Chair, John Glassmeyer. John?
There we go. Wouldn't allow me to unmute. Morning, everyone. Finance Committee met yesterday. We had 5 items up for consideration. And I'm right, Kim, Madam Chair, you want me to go through everything and then we'll go back? Is that how you wanted to proceed?
Actually, let's take one at a time.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
I think it's, you guys digested a lot and might just be best if we took it each item noted on the agenda from the Finance Committee one by one, and I think that'd be best if you agree.
That's fine. All right. First item we had up for consideration was a recommendation from the Women's Professional Sports Ad Hoc Committee with the intent to award a contract for professional consulting services for phase 2 of the Women's Professional Sports Initiative. Kathy Bender gave us a little more detail. Background, there was some discussion around it. Yes, we feel like this is a separate phase, so it would fit as far as not having to go through the procurement procedure, something less than $25,000. It's a separate phase of this. So we had some input from Margaret Darby on it. I guess I'll go to Kathy Bender first. Kathy, anything else you'd like to add?
No, nothing particular other than the fact that we really did have an in-depth conversation around, we understand that the timing, but we also can appreciate that there are some steps that we can take to continue to move the dial forward, even as we're in the semi-down phase. So that's how we came to the recommendations that you will be discussing and approving, not approving today. Okay, thank you.
So the recommendation was we did approve, so we're recommending to the full committee, the full board, that they would approve this. I don't know where you want to go from here, Kim.
So we have a recommendation from Finance to approve the Women's Professional Ad Hoc Committee to solicit professional consulting services for phase 2 of the Women's Professional Sports Initiative. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Chair.
A motion, is there a second?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Melvin Gill. I am interested in a discussion about the need to proceed at this time for getting a consultant to take this to the next step. My misgiving is about the fact that we are in several crises right now, economic and health. And I'm concerned about the optics of spending funds, even though it is a very small amount, less than $25,000, spending that kind of money or spending money for an entertainment venue when so many people are suffering and losing jobs or have lost jobs or being evicted and what have you. I just wonder how that looks right now for us to move forward with pursuing consulting services to do a survey or whatever it is. If someone could explain to me how that is beneficial, I would appreciate it.
Thank you, Director Gill. We have a motion. I'd like to just get a second so we can properly have discussion, if that's all right. And so if there's just a second.
Second.
Okay, thank you. And then yes, let's fully discuss this among all of these recommendations today. And Monica, I don't know if you want to start that piece or who wants to address Director Gill's question?
Well, I can try to speak to it, and I hear your concern, Director, and I think that this is something that we are all sensitive to at this time. I would say in terms of the funding source that's been proposed and recommended by the committee, it is not related to the general fund. It is Sports Authority allocations from a different source, from the arena account. I think as the committee has met and we've had these conversations, we also were looking at the fact that, you know, there's a window of time. We also don't know how long the process is going to take, right? So we started this process a year ago, and we feel like we've made great progress. I think if you look at the Women's Professional Soccer League, you know, even during this difficult time, they've continued to expand the league in Louisville and in LA. And so we are interested in continuing to move forward as we can. You know, the conversation yesterday with the Finance Committee, you know, we talked about the opportunity to bid as a department using our delegated purchasing authority, which, as was stated earlier, is a maximum of $25,000. You know, we may or may not be able to meet that based on the scope that we're looking for. And so we may need to go through Metro purchasing. We know that will take a long time because there's just so much going on in the city and so much on their plate. So this still potentially could be, you know, months away before we have anyone on board. I think that's the thought process. I do hear what you're saying. I don't know if anyone else from the Finance Committee, you know, Dan Hogan serves on both committees, if he'd like to step in here. But in terms of the funding source and the timing, that's kind of what we've discussed.
Thank you, Monica. Dan? I'm not sure if Dan Hogan is available at the moment. So maybe this is a question for Margaret.
This is Dan.
Yes,
I apologize. I lost the last bit of that. I have a daughter Zooming to school that just sort of interrupted. So I apologize. I kind of dropped out the last 2-3 minutes.
Hey, no problem, Dan. We understand balancing all of this. Essentially, I think Director Gill raised just concern of timing, of it spending any funds, or really any initiatives given the current state of affairs. And Monica was explaining, I believe, some of the conversation from yesterday's Finance Committee meeting of wanting to move this forward and pursue this as an option. I think the question is whether or not, if we accept the Finance Committee recommendations, does that mean we are, you know, does that mean we're approving the expenditure at this time, or is that simply keeping this conversation going? I believe is a attempted recap. So Dan,
so I can speak to my interpretation of yesterday, if that would be helpful.
Yes, please. Thanks.
From my perspective, I think it's our job to best position the Sports Authority to move quickly to assume the momentum that we had before the pandemic. I can also appreciate and share the concerns about optics, but I think the discussion yesterday was mainly around beginning to initiate not only a survey in the community as to the appetite and preference for which sports, which women's sports would be most appealing, which I think would be very valuable. And quite honestly, I personally don't think would be an offensive survey to put forward even under current circumstances. I think giving something to be hopeful about is helpful. And secondarily, to move forward with dialogue about as to potential partners and moving on the next recommendations from the report that we received, and simply in so much as we're going to solicit RFPs. So I don't think it's accepting anything other than asking for another proposal to move forward. And in my view, that positions us very well to move quickly and maybe most importantly, not to lose momentum on this effort.
Thank you, Dan. Are there other questions or comments from the board? Maybe Metro Finance could chime in on, you know, if we act today on the recommendation before us, does that mean, you know, I guess when do we sign off on the expenditure of funds? If we approve this recommendation of pursuing the solicitation, does that mean we are approving the expenditure, or does that simply mean we're moving that in that direction? Is Michelle Lane on, or someone from Metro Finance possibly could address that for us?
Good morning, Madam Chair. This is Michelle Hernandez Lane. I'm the purchasing agent for Metro Government. My understanding, and you know, also based upon my participation yesterday in Finance Committee, is that the authority would be pursuing this action based upon delegated authority as specified in the procurement regulations. And basically what you would be doing at this point would be engaging the solicitation process or the competitive process. And that is, if you anticipate the expenditure to be in excess of $2,499, which my understanding is that you do, then you would be required to receive 3 written quotes, or in this case, they would be, you know, 3 written proposals. Once you receive those, that provides you with the basis to understand what the best, you know, offer is. There would still be a subsequent action required to, you know, issue a purchase order, or should it be necessary to develop a contract, you know, we could assist you with that to develop a contract, which would then also require a subsequent action, you know, to transact payment. So this, from the way that I understand, you know, departments to execute their delegated authority, this is just simply the competitive process of soliciting those quotes prior to the actual action of expending funds.
So if we pursued this solicitation and at some point prior to it being officially accepted, we still have the discretion of not moving forward, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. And even after you solicit, I mean, you know, Metro reserves the right to determine that, you know, we solicited these quotes or bids or offers, but, you know, perhaps situations have changed and we're not, you know, going to move forward with an actual expenditure. You can do that.
Madam Chair, also, if I can say this, when we went through phase 1, then the board and the finance committee gave staff the green light to move forward and to solicit bids or proposals based on the delegated purchasing authority. After we moved through that, came back with a proposal from CAA Icon, who we eventually contracted with, and that came back to the board. And then there was a resolution, and at that point, the board approved, you know, the resolution allowing us to enter into the contract. So I think there is additional action that the board would need to take, you know, clearly before we're able to expend any funds.
Madam Chair, Melvin Gill again. If you issue a synopsis for a proposal, are you not intending to accept proposals and thereby pay a fee to someone? Michelle, would you care to, if I was coherent in what I was saying, would you care to respond to that?
Sure. I mean, just from my perspective, we always want to know when we're soliciting items that come through the central purchasing office, the extent to which there's available funding, for what we're seeking. But we also know that from the point that we, actually began the solicitation process to the point that it's completed and prepared for award, sometimes conditions change. So my recommendation, of course, would be that that you have the intent to complete the procurement action, but also knowing that Metro always has, the right to say, what, things have changed and we're not going to move forward at this time. So I guess what I'm trying to convey is that you're not necessarily locked in so long as you have proceeded, in good faith from the onset.
Margaret Darby, if I could just jump in here too, and agree with what Michelle Lane is saying. At this point, it seems that the board would be approving the, moving forward with putting out a scope and requesting bids. And once those come in and are reviewed by the committee, if a contractor were chosen after that, if there were low enough bids, then any sort of agreement, as Monica was saying, would come back before the board for approval. So this really would be a two-step process, at least.
I think the way I am understanding this is if you did solicit proposals and got competitive responses, your intent is to spend money because you now have a certain amount of money to spend, which, as I understand it, is less than $25,000. So if you have that amount of money to spend now, when you solicit these proposals, do you not intend to spend it?
I think that if the board were to approve this process moving forward, then presumably the board is expressing its intent to move forward with a company, assuming that they come in underneath that $25,000 limit. If none of the bids come in under that $25,000 limit, then the board would need to pursue other avenues, presumably going through a solicitation process for proposals.
The basic premise of my concern is spending funds now. We don't know when we will come out of the crisis that we are in now. So we have $25,000 or less than $25,000. And if in the next 6 months or a year or 2 years, we're still having difficulties, what do? We just go ahead and spend the money? What would happen if we delayed soliciting proposals at this time? What would it do? What momentum would it take away from this process?
Madam Chair, this is Dan Hogan. I might have something to share there. I think from my perspective, Melvin, I hope, like everyone does, that we're not still struggling with this in 2 years. And my understanding of what we are asking at this point is simply to solicit proposals which would give us a greater opportunity to move quickly. It doesn't obligate us to anything. I don't feel as though there is any implied definitive to go ahead and spend that money at a time that this group would determine that would be inappropriate. But I don't see any reason personally why we wouldn't go one step further down this road of exploration in terms of cost and timing, if for no other reason than to be armed with better information. And as to the momentum question, I guess I would like to be ready to move quickly on this when the appropriate time presents itself. And I agree with you, now may not be the appropriate time to publicly present our idea to the city that we're very enthused about a women's sports franchise here, but I don't see that there is any harm in continuing the process of gathering information so that when that time presents itself, we are well prepared.
Let me ask this question, and maybe Michelle, you would be the one to answer it. Could a solicitation for proposals be issued with the fact known that this is an exploratory type of proposition, so that the people who would be responding would know, well, I may be spending time now for something that might be a year or two down the road, but at least I know that I'm doing that.
I suppose that you could do that. I mean, what we have done in the central purchasing office on a number of projects is to proceed with the competitive process and to extend the validity of offers period. So what that means is we extend the amount of time that those offers are valid, and in some instances have moved forward with the award, requesting that the awarded contractor further extend the validity of their offer, meaning honor their pricing into a period of time that we, discuss with them. I think that most of our supplier base understands, what's happening, just generally across the globe, of course, but here within Nashville, fiscally, I think they understand it. And all of the ones that we've discussed the issue with have been willing to do that. So, that would be my recommendation. If there's any, trepidation about moving forward and you want to maintain the momentum and take advantage of the time that you put into the procurement activity, you could request that offers in that solicitation be willing to extend the validity of their offer for a period of time.
Madam Chair, this is Don Deering. Listening to some of the previous finance, the ad hoc committee meetings, I think first thing, this consulting thing is to help us decide which women's sports activity that we are interested in, that they find that would be most available to Nashville. To make it quick, I think I heard conversation from people talking about different soccer teams, different hockey teams. We're maybe exploring expanding, and maybe that's what moved us to start moving real fast with doing this. We're all on board with bringing women's sports to Nashville. I don't think there's any doubt about that with anybody. And if I've misunderstood something there, and if this consultant is the way I understand it, are going to consult us and find out what they feel would be the best fit for Nashville with the facilities we have and what type of sport. If I missed something there, I apologize.
And this is Kathy Bender again. You haven't missed anything. And Director Gill, if you were at our meeting, I am very sensitive personally to the timing and sensitive to spending money as well. I understand the hardships of Nashville and the country, actually. But I will say momentum on this issue is important. This committee was formed over a year ago. Since that time, and during this time, teams have continued to be awarded, and I think some have relocated. So I think it's imperative that we have the knowledge to be in a position to move forward at a point in time that might be urgent in the future. None of us know how long this lasts, but at the same time, I think that this is an opportunity for us to better equip ourselves to become more knowledgeable and, yes, to learn more about the city of Nashville and what opportunities our citizens would like to see us present in terms of a women's professional sport team. So I do think the timing is important. It's critical. I think we're sensitive to the funding, but at the same time, I do think that we have the opportunity to continue the work during this time.
Madam Chair, Melvin Gill again. Guys, I am not at all trying to slow the momentum of what has happened. And there has been a lot of excitement about what the committee has done. The committee has done a great job. I am for that. I was just questioning whether or not it would be good optics for the Sports Authority to spend money now, regardless to the amount. I understand what you're saying, and I understand that you want to get to the next level. You want to get to the point that you can decide which direction you might want to go in terms of women's sports teams. But when you get to that point, is there a decision to be made immediately then that would require spending more money? Okay, it's just a question and a concern. Madam Chair, Melvin Gill again. I don't think I have any more comments.
Director Gill, this is Glenn Farner. I'm sorry, I was on mute. I was talking. I was just going to say that, not speaking directly to this issue, but just in general, my concern, is kind of goes along with what you were saying, and that if we have so much unknown around, getting large groups of folks back together to, be in these facilities and attend these events all around, that I think at least we should be discussing what that might or might not look like, which certainly affects the amount of revenue that those facilities are bringing in, right?
Are you asking me the question?
It wasn't really a question. It was just a comment saying that I share your concern about what the unknown future is in that, when we don't know what kind of revenue he's going to generate long term. If it's going to be another 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, like you said.
Madam Chair, if you want me to say something else, I will.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I think if we have finished a completed discussion, I think I'd like to call for the question.
Madam Chair, if you're speaking, you're on mute.
Thank you. I was. Okay, guys, the question has been called. We are ready to have a motion and a second for consideration of the Finance Committee's recommendation from the Women's Professional Sports Ad Hoc Committee to solicit professional services for Phase 2 of the Women's Professional Sports Initiative. Kathy Bender, how do you vote?
Aye.
Is Director Wynn on yet? I don't think Margaret Bim's on either. Director Deering? How do you
Aye.
vote?
Aye.
Chad Duncan is absent. Director Farner?
Aye.
Melvin Gill?
Abstain.
John Glassmeyer?
Aye.
Frank Harrison?
Aye.
Dan Hogan?
Aye.
Aaron McGee?
Aye.
Anna Page?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Motion is accepted. And we are next up from our Finance Committee to consider a resolution regarding the hiring of Bob Lackey on a part-time basis for financial consulting. Chairman Glassmeyer?
Yes, ma'am. The committee does recommend this. Monica, would you like to give it a little more background as to why we're wanting Bob? I mean, I think everybody knows, but would you say a little about this?
Sure. Last year in FY20, the authority approved the hiring of a finance manager, Melissa Wells, who has been hired, started in March, right as everyone was starting to work remotely due to COVID. And she just wasn't able to train with Bob. And so over the last couple of months, we have talked about bringing Bob on part-time to train her and to provide some other, consulting services. And staff has requested $50,000 to hire Bob. This would come from leftover FY20 Sports Authority allocations and funding from the Arena account, which is the same account that funds the current finance manager's position. And so that's the resolution before you.
And again, the committee does recommend this to the full board.
Further questions? And I guess we need a motion.
I'll give the motion. John Glassmeyer.
We
Second.
have,
Don Deering, I second.
okay, we have a motion properly seconded. Discussion?
This Glenn Farner, my question is this for the remainder of 20 or 2021 or up to $50,000 or 1 year? Is there, what kind of?
This is up to $50,000. The timeline that we set and discussed with the Finance Committee yesterday was November 1st through October of 2021. Our expectation is that as Melissa gets a better understanding and just becomes more adept at her role, that naturally the amount of hours that Bob works will start to decline kind of on the back end. He is a Metro pensioner and limited to 19 and a half hours per week.
Thank you. That gives it some context. I was just wondering if, what the time limit, you're saying $50,000 for basically a year, essentially.
Any other questions by the board on this one? Okay, we are ready for a vote. Kathy Bender,
Aye.
is Emmett on, Monica? Don Deering,
Aye.
Glenn Farner,
Aye.
Melvin Gill,
Yes.
John Glassmeyer,
Yes.
Frank Harrison,
Aye.
Dan Hogan,
Aye.
Aaron McGee,
Aye.
Anna Page. Ayes have it. We are on to our next item that was considered in finance. This one is consideration of a resolution authorizing the Sports Authority Finance Chair and Board Liaison to the MLS Stadium to execute change orders to the agreement for the construction management services for Major League Soccer Stadium project as amended. John Glassmeyer, could you give the committee report on this?
Yes, ma'am. The committee does recommend approval. Monica, do we have Ron talk about this one or just the next one? I couldn't remember. We've got Ron on the line.
Ron spoke to both yesterday.
I thought so.
I can do that. Do you want me to do that?
Yes, please, Ron. Thank you.
Essentially, on this document, this allows the chair of the finance committee to work with the development committee to approve change orders on any job of this size. There will be several requests to be reviewed. All the change orders being reviewed in this will be the responsibility of the team. As you recall, the development agreement with the team is that the team's responsible for anything exceeding the net proceeds of the $225 million bond issue. And we have a few months ago, or you approved a guaranteed not to exceed amount of money with Mortensen and Messer. And this will continue to modify that, but it will all be in excess of that $225 million net proceeds. The process is that when a change order request comes in, it goes to the team's project manager, CAA Icon, to review first. And once they approve or recommend approval, it comes to CPS, Capital Project Solutions, and our firm to review. Then we take it to the development committee, and the development committee reviews that and then would recommend to the chair to execute that execute that change order. It is noted in this agreement that if the Sports Authority were to initiate a change order, then that would have to come back to the Sports Authority for approval in advance. Many of these change orders are going to be where we have to have a quick turnaround to get resolution. For example, if they wanted to upgrade some suites or whatever toward the end of the project, those kind of things would have to be done quickly and efficiently. And we felt like this was an appropriate way to deal with that. Director Glassmeyer, did I cover everything you would like me to cover?
I believe you did, but I will go back to the full board to see if there are any questions. Or if Margaret is not on, does anyone from the committee have anything else they'd like to add to this one? Yes, hearing none, Madam Chair, ready for the next step.
Have you made a motion on this, or do we have a motion on this?
I will make the motion that the full board to consider the approval of the resolution authorizing the Sports Authority Finance Chair and Board Liaison to the MLS Stadium to execute change orders to the agreement for construction management services for Nashville Major League Soccer Stadium as amended.
Is there a second by the board?
I second the motion.
Any further discussion? Ready for a vote? Kathy Bender,
Aye.
Don Deering,
Aye.
Glenn Farner,
Aye.
Melvin Gill,
Yes.
John Glassmeyer,
Yes.
Frank Harrison,
Aye.
Dan Hogan,
Aye.
Aaron McGee.
Aye.
Anna Page. Ayes have it. We are now on to the next agenda item, which was also vetted in finance. It is consideration of approval of a resolution approving an amendment to the agreement with Kimberly Horn for design services for infrastructure improvements related to the Nashville Major League Soccer Stadium project at the Nashville Fairgrounds. Finance Chair John Glassmeyer, would you like to comment?
Yes, we did have some discussion around this one as well. Ron Gobble gave us a very good presentation as to what these, what we're talking about here. Ron, do you want to? I don't know if we have everything available you had yesterday, showing that everything that Horn is outlined. Do we have that?
I don't know if we have that to present, but I can give you a quick overview if you'd like, and
Yes, please, sir.
and kind of run the board through it. There you go. The the overview is that, first of all, this is a separate project from the stadium project. This is a Sports Authority project, and the project managers on this is is CPS and GHP, and we're partnering on the project management aspects of it. The Sports Authority approved $25 million in general obligation bonds. Out of the proceeds of that, we are constructing Wedgewood and extending Wedgewood over, building a bridge over to Craighead, and we're extending Benton Avenue around. And in the image on the screen there, that's essentially the items in yellow. And that is pretty much the limits of those funds and what that'll get. This request is coming out of that budget. It was, once we got into the work on this, we anticipated it. It includes some associated work around the projects, generally shown in blue on this work. Much of that work has to do with coordinating with other metro departments and future projects that have yet to be funded, but are in the capital improvements budget. So those, we had to do some coordination work and some design work just to facilitate those items, so that when we get this built, we won't have to come back and chip concrete. There was also environmental testing and surveying that's part of this project that's required, and that was additional services as well. And then we did have, as we went through a process, we did have some delays. If you'll recall, this project was paused as things were being evaluated out there, and and we did have some delays and restart on particularly the bridge design and that aspect of it. So this proposal was reviewed by CPS and our firm, and we recommended the change in fees to accommodate these items and to facilitate us continuing. I can get into more detail if you'd like, but that's the overview.
Thanks, Ron. Do we have any questions from the board?
I would just remind the board, as I did at the committee yesterday, that funding for infrastructure improvements comes from general obligation bonds. So we do have a budget there.
Thank you, Monica. Any other comments from the committee members? Hearing none, Madam Chair, I'll make the motion to consider the approval of resolution approving an amendment to the agreement with Kimmel Horn for design services for infrastructure improvements related to Nashville Major League Soccer Stadium project at the Nashville Fairgrounds.
Thank you for that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dan Hogan. Any further discussion? We're ready for a vote. Director Bender?
Aye.
Vice Chair, that is. Don Deering?
Aye.
Glenn Farner?
Aye.
Melvin Gill?
Yes.
John Glassmeyer?
Yes.
Frank Harrison?
Aye.
Dan Hogan?
Aye.
Aaron McGee?
Aye.
Anna Page?
Aye.
It's also my understanding that Emmett Wynn is listening in but is unable to vote. So please let the record reflect that he is present, not voting, and ayes have it. We will move on to the next agenda item. Thanks everyone for hanging in there and being patient with me virtually here. Okay, next up, we have consideration of a resolution authorizing the issuance and sale of federally taxable public improvement revenue bonds MLS project, Series 2020 of the Sports Authority of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $225 million, approving the execution and delivery of a trust, indenture, and bond purchase agreement related to said bonds, pledging certain revenues of the authority to the payment of the bonds, authorizing the execution and delivery of an intergovernmental agreement with the Metropolitan Government relating to said bonds, and authorizing the preparation and distribution of a preliminary official statement in connection with the sale of the bonds. Chairman Glassmeyer, this is an item that the Finance Committee reviewed in yesterday's committee. Can you let us know the recommendation of the committee?
Yes, the recommendation of the committee is to approve. We did have quite a number of folks, and I believe I checked and everyone was on the line that spoke yesterday. We had Tom Edelman, the Deputy Finance Director, spoke, Margaret Darby, our legal liaison, Jeff Oldman, our bond counsel, and Michelle Bush, the Metro Finance, Metro Finance. Monica, how would you like to proceed as far as discussion on this?
I think based on yesterday, I would say that I think Tom Cross and Jeff Oldham took the lead yesterday and explained things very well. I think we could start there.
Okay. Good morning. This is Tom Cross, the Metro Legal, and I'm going to hand it off to Jeff Oldham very quickly here. But these are the bonds that are intended to fund the construction of the MLS Stadium. To this point, the team has been funding construction under an MOU with the Sports Authority, but these bonds will allow the Sports Authority to take back over funding of construction through the $225 million. And Jeff Oldham can give you the specifics about how the bonds are issued and how they work.
Thanks, Tom. This is Jeff Oldham. I'm an attorney at Bassbury and Sims and bond counsel to the Sports Authority in Metro. And unless somebody wants me to go another route, I'll do what I did yesterday and give you guys a high-level overview of the sort of large set of bond documents that are in front of you. Tennessee law authorizes this body to issue its revenue bonds to finance sports projects. And you do that by, and so that's what you have in front of you is a resolution that would authorize up to $225 million of bonds to finance stadium construction, interest on the bonds through the construction period, and bond issuance costs. The basic terms of the bonds that are laid out in the bond resolution are a final maturity that extends no more than 30 years from the commencement of, the first game at the stadium, level debt service on the bonds starting in year 4. And these would be bonds. You might ask why. Federal tax law requires projects like this one where there's a non-governmental user and payer for the facility. Those bonds have to be issued on a taxable basis. So that's why they're structured in that manner. This resolution authorizes these bonds to be sold by what we call negotiated underwriting. And so Metro has identified an underwriting team through a selection process. That team's led by Citigroup. There's several other underwriters in that group. That's how the bonds will be sold. Maybe most important, you might ask, how will these bonds be paid? How are they secured? And there are 4 items, 4 revenue streams that'll pay these bonds. The first 2 are sales tax revenues, sort of incremental MLS related sales tax revenues. The second are ticket tax revenues from ticket taxes collected at the stadium. The third is team rent, which is calculated as sort of total debt service minus the sum of those first 2 sales tax and ticket tax items. And last but not least, should all else fail, Metro has committed, and we'll talk more about this in a minute, committed to advance a limited set of revenues, its non-tax revenues, to support this project. And so those are the 4 revenue streams. Talking about Metro, the Sports Authority statute requires that any bonds you issue be approved by the Metro Council, and the Metro Council has already done that. They have pre-approved bonds within the parameters that are in front of you today. So that's the bond itself. There are 4 exhibits to the bond resolution that I'll go through hopefully very quickly. The first is an indenture. Indenture is simply the contract between you and bondholders. And technically it's Regions Bank acting as trustee on behalf of bondholders. And the indenture lay out the precise terms of the bonds when they're finalized. It aggregates all those revenue streams that I talked about, collects them into specified funds, and obligates you to pay those funds over to bondholders on debt service dates. Pretty straightforward. That's what the indenture does. The second document is a bond purchase agreement. That's the contract between you and the underwriting group that really locks in the pricing and the interest rate on the bonds, which I'll stop here in a minute and just say this. Adopting a bond resolution, should you choose to do that today, does not bind the Sports Authority to the issuance of bonds right now. The binding obligation happens when the underwriters have come to you at the end of the marketing process that we'll talk about here in a minute and finalize the actual prices for and interest rates on the bonds. Then you've got all those numbers in front of you and you have a solid deal. Only at that point, if you choose to sign the bond purchase agreement and agree to those terms, have you locked yourself in. So that's what the bond purchase agreement does. The next document is an intergovernmental agreement between the authority and Metro. Pretty straightforward document. Metro agrees to make available to you, the authority, the revenue streams that it has control over, including non-tax revenues should they be needed. You in turn agree to issue the bonds and then administer this project, according to the terms of not only these bond documents, but also the team lease and the team development agreement that you have already executed and entered into. That's what the intergovernmental agreement does. And then last but not least, there's a preliminary official statement, which is a big, long document with small font. That is the document that the underwriters will use to market the bonds to investors. And so roughly a week prior to the day when the bonds are sold, this document, which describes the authority, it describes Metro, it describes the project, the source of security and payment for the bonds, all types of things that are relevant to investors. That goes out about a week in advance. Investors have a chance to review this, decide whether they'd like to invest in these bonds, what prices and rates. And so that's what that document is. And so I know that's a lot. It's a mouthful. Sorry about that. That's an overview of the documents that are before you. I'm certainly happy to answer questions now or proceed any other way you'd like. What you might consider doing is allow Wayne Placide, who's your and Metro's financial advisor, to sort of an overview of the numbers, of what it looks like. But again, Chair, defer to you how you'd like to proceed.
Thank you, Jeff. Tom, do you want to go through part of what you had?
I think we'll let Wayne, if Wayne's available, are you there, Wayne, to go over the financing numbers first?
He's on, but on mute.
Wayne, can you unmute? Well, we'll try it again like we did yesterday then. The bond, this is Tom Edelman from the Finance Department. Sources and uses of the bond, Jeff went through that before. We have up to not to exceed $225 million of bond proceeds. Those will be, Wayne, I see, are you available, Wayne?
Yes, I am. I'm sorry for the technical problems.
Okay.
My name is Wayne. We serve as financial advisor to Nashville. The item before you.
Wayne, we can barely hear you.
Okay. Is that better?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The item before you, as you mentioned, so the issuance of
Wayne, you faded out again.
Okay. The item before you is the issuance of $2 million bonds.
Yeah, Wayne, you're faded out almost immediately. As soon as you start speaking, then you're fading out. Sorry.
Okay. Is that better now?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. The item before you is the.
Okay. Let me go ahead and take it again. Then, it's Tom Edelman. The sources and uses, as Jeff mentioned, is $225 million, not to exceed, and it'll be used to cover the cost of the issuance of the bonds, the capitalized interest for the first few years until construction is completed, and then for the rest of it for the construction of the bond. The debt service schedule will be established at the sale of the bonds. As Jeff mentioned, the term is not more than 30 years, so we'll have a level debt service after the first few years of the bond issue. The plan is right now to go to the rating agency. I'll talk a little bit in a second, but we'll go to the rating agencies within 2 weeks from right now. Then we'll price the bonds early in December and plan to close these in the middle of December, around the 17th, I believe. So we'll have the process complete and money in hand before the end of the year. The rating agency, if you remember, we went through the process a year early last year when we were almost to the point of bonds, and the rating agencies reviewed the financing of the stadium. They'll do that again this time. Ratings go stale after a period of time, so it is way past the time that those ratings could be used. So we'll go to the rating agency again with structure, the financing, all the guarantees that are associated with this, and look at the pledges that are be covering the bonds. One of the things that, and as Jeff mentioned, these will be also pledged for this is federal government's non-tax revenue. So with that pledge, which is not a general obligation pledge, it is a pledge of revenues other than tax revenue. So, and hence the non-tax revenue. So it's not the same as the unlimited taxing authority of the government, which is what GO bonds are. This, with its limited revenue, also though puts Metro's finances in play as far as what the rating agencies will take a look at. So we will have a presentation to them, including the team, the Sports Authority, and Metro, to go over all the information associated with the bond and present that to the rating agencies. And where this ended up last year and is kind of consistent with our facilities bonds for the sports facilities is that the revenue bonds tend to be one notch below the general obligation bond rating, which is where we ended up last year. We AA2, and the sports facility bonds came in at AA3. So there's no guarantee of where we're going to be this year, and we'll have to see what happens with it when we get to the rating agency. But that's scheduled for 2 weeks. Marketing of the bonds will be led by Citigroup as the lead underwriter, and all the other underwriters will begin marketing the bonds as soon as we get the ratings and release the preliminary official statement. Pricing again will be on December 5th. That's where we actually will the underwriters go in the market and sell the bonds, and we determine at that point what the pricing will be. Closing again, middle of December. We will know the price at that point, and all the players will sign the documents that Jeff went through earlier, and will at that point the bonds will be an obligation of the Sports Authority and Metro and the team and everybody else that's involved there. The next kind of part I want to talk about is the role of Metro in your bonds. And as is the case with all the outstanding bonds, we'll manage the rating process, we'll manage the closing of the bonds with Metro Legal, Jeff, underwriters, and the various signers. So we'll manage that process. We'll work closely with the trustee for setting up the funds and making sure the money is in the right place to make sure the debt payments are made on time, and just work closely with them as we go through the execution of these bonds and the life of the bonds. The continuing disclosure, all bonds have in the documents that we'll sign will be a commitment to disclose certain items to the investing public on an annual basis. And we will do that for these bonds as well, just like we do all the others. Then we'll manage the contracts and make sure that if there needs to be a change with trustees over the years or whatever, but those are the things that we do for all the Sports Authority bonds. So I believe that covers everything that we had yesterday. I'll be happy to answer any questions if you guys have any.
Thank you, Tom. Any questions from the board? Either Tom or for Jeff?
This is Glenn. I have two questions. One, when you say non-taxable bonds, when you reference that, does that mean any kind of tax, or is that just or is that just property tax, or is it? Does that make sense? Would it be hotel tax? Would it be any kind of tax?
Yeah, there's specific taxes that fall into the non-tax revenue. I don't have a list here, but
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
It's mostly fines, fees, those things that aren't associated with any of our taxes.
Okay, thanks.
Ms. Glenn, any other questions or comments either from the committee or anyone on the board? All right, hearing none, I will make a motion. I'm not going to read, do I need to read the whole thing? I guess I will. The Finance Committee recommends that I make a motion to consider the approval of a resolution authorizing the issuance and sale of federal taxable public improvement revenue bonds, MLS project, Series 2020 of the Sports Authority of Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $225 million, approving the execution and delivery of a trust indenture and bond purchase agreement related to said bonds, pledging certain revenues of the authority to the payment of the bonds, authorizing the execution and delivery of an intergovernmental agreement with the Metropolitan government relating to said bonds, and authorizing the preparation and distribution of preliminary official statement and official statement in connection with the sale of the bonds. There's your motion, Madam Chair. And if you're speaking, you're on mute.
Thank you, Chairman. We have a motion. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Motion and seconded by Director Hogan. Is there any further discussion? We are ready for a vote. Director Bender?
Aye.
Kathy Bender? How do you vote?
Aye.
Emmett Wynn? I believe Emmett is available. Emmett, can you vote? And if so, how do you vote? If you've phoned in, I believe you can just unmute. Director Deering?
Aye.
Director Farner?
Aye.
Director Gill?
Yes.
Chairman Glassmeyer?
Aye.
Director Harrison?
Aye.
Director Hogan?
Aye.
Director McGee?
Aye.
Director Page? Okay, ayes have it, and the motion is approved.
And that completes the Finance Committee's report.
Thank you, John, and thank you to the Finance Committee and all who participated yesterday as well. We really appreciate it. Next up, that moves us on, I believe, to the MLS. Thank you. Yes, the MLS Stadium update, and I want to congratulate the team and the organization for clinching the first ever playoff spot. That's exciting and a lot of fun to watch. So at this time, I believe we have a group of folks that will chime in. The team, we're going to hear from the stadium DBE update from our construction manager and a infrastructure report from the project managers. And as I understand, Mary Cavara will start us off. Mary?
Yes. Good morning, and thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Mary Cavara, and I'm here on behalf of Nashville SC. I will provide a brief update on stadium construction, followed by Mortensen Messer's DBE update. We will conclude our presentation with Ian Ayer, Nashville SC CEO, giving an update on the club and sharing a video clip of the stadium. Kellen, if we could get the slides up.
Yes. Melissa, if you could give me that control.
And while Kellen is pulling up the slide, and if you could advance to the first one there, and then to the next. The stadium project. Okay, Kellen, one more slide, please.
Mhm.
The stadium project continues to make solid progress. This picture shows the stadium footprint overlay on the construction site. Mass excavation work continues, expected to wrap up over the next month. In an effort to be transparent, we do anticipate there will be a change order related to the earthwork, as we were not able to take all of the materials to the airport site. However, the additional costs are partially covered by allowances, and the overall project cost is not impacted. As you recall, the team is responsible for any cost overage. Looking ahead, the next significant milestone is the steel work beginning in January 2021. Please let me know if you have any questions before I turn this over to Carol Greenlee with the Mortensen Messer team. Thank you.
Okay.
Good morning, this is Carol Greenlee. I am the Mortensen Messer Inclusion Coordinator for the project. As you look at the screen, I want to remind you that the DBE goal for this project, as established by Metro, is 30%. Currently, the DBE participation is at 37%. The project is about 88% bought out. So we're not anticipating that our percentage will change drastically upon completion of the procurement process. As you can see on the slide, most of our DBE firms are either women-owned or minority-owned businesses, with a small 9% shown as small businesses. I'd like to mention here that there are 20 WBE firms and 27 MBE firms that makes up the firms that are on the project that has been awarded. The majority of our DBE firms are based here in Tennessee. And of those Tennessee-based firms, a good portion are located here in Davidson County. Lastly, I want to touch on the diversity of our project workforce. Mortensen Messer voluntarily established a workforce goal of 22% combined female and people of color on the project. We are currently at 37%, and we hope to see a number increase, our numbers increase even more as our work progresses on the stadium. And with that, I'll just wait to hear if there are any questions.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I have a question with reference to the graph that was shown just now. This is Melvin Gill, I'm sorry. With future presentations, would you break that up so that WBE and MBE SBEs are separate?
The WBE
on the graph that you show.
Okay, I can do that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Okay, no further questions. I think Ian.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks, Kellen. And as Madam Chair said, a timely opportunity to join, I think, after what was a historic moment for Nashville Soccer Club last night. So after beating Montreal in New York on Tuesday, we then followed two games where Orlando beat Atlanta and Dallas beat Miami last night, which guaranteed Nashville SC a playoff place. So we now sit in 8th place this morning in the Eastern Conference with a game in hand on the three teams immediately above us. So not only have we qualified, but we have a real opportunity to continue to progress in the next three games. Just to put that into perspective, only 4 teams in the last 22 years of MLS have made the playoffs in their first year. Chicago, LAFC, Atlanta United, and Seattle Sounders, and all 4 of them went on to win MLS Cup in future seasons. So I'd say we're in good company. We've also conceded the fewest number of goals in MLS history through the first 20 games, which is a great achievement for everybody. And remain unbeaten at Nissan Stadium since the restart. So exciting times, as I said, 3 games left to go. Chicago on Saturday, Dallas here in Nashville as well next week, and then our final regular season game in Orlando against Orlando the following weekend. So exciting times for Nashville in soccer, and a great testament to everyone involved at the club. And I think it's a real indication of what's possible in the future, particularly as we head towards our new stadium. And what we'd like to share with you this morning is a CGI video that we made predominantly to be a sales tool, but I think it's an excellent piece of content. Gives a real perspective on the size and scale of the project. I know many of you have seen the renderings, such as the one on the screen, but this really gives a real feel for the size and scope of the stadium, and some conceptual views of the high-end premium and supporter facilities that we have planned. So hope it all gives you a glimpse of what's to come. And I'm always conscious that these videos often don't run the best over Zoom calls, but Kellen, if you can run the video, please.
Sure. Thank you, Ian. If everyone could mute their mics and turn up their audio, we'll give this a shot and try the audio or the music. And if it doesn't go well, we'll just mute it and continue playing.
I know Kellen's muted the audio, so perhaps I can just give you some perspective. These are the 3 main clubs that we've been looking at. Premier Club would be the highest end of those, centre field, with probably the best seats in the house in front, immediately outside, and the lounge before was our North Club, which showcases a sort of honky-tonk style, and this is more of a sports bar type feel in the South Club. But really, these 3 lounges on the main deck, really with the best seats in the facility, and a fantastic opportunity to bring state-of-the-art VIP and premier type product going into one of the standard suites here. Some of these will have glass to the rear and the front, seats outside, obviously, and again, fantastic views for the facility. This is a long shared suite on the upper level, where people can, take tables rather than a whole suite, appealing to smaller businesses. But across the board, a real good mix of something for everybody. Corner suite terraces, loge boxes, suites, lounges. So really trying to find a solution that has something for everyone at a different price point. And this is a corner kick terrace supporters bar. So trying to be conscious of supplying, great facilities for our fantastic supporters. And we'd love to see them bring this to life on game day as the facility starts to grow and become our spiritual home. I think, as I said at the start of the video, these things never seem to play well on Zoom. But hopefully that gives you some sense of what we're trying to achieve here. Grateful for everybody's support in the project. But we thought it would be useful to share that this morning. And finally, from me, I would say that for the media who are on the call, I was asked to make everyone aware that we will be conducting media interviews today at 1:45, myself, our head coach, Gary Smith, and our team captain, Dax McCarthy, and answering questions on stadium progress and our MLS playoff run. And anyone wishing to join that can contact our VP of Comms, Christina Meyer-Belder. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Ian, for narrating that. And I do believe apologize for the audio, and I think this will be posted to the Sports Authority Board's website here in the near future.
Yes, that will also be on our club website. I think probably right about now, Kellen, and a few other outlets as well. So it'll be available to watch probably a bit faster and with audio for anyone who's interested in seeing that again. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other updates from the MLS group, or does that conclude your report?
That concludes our report. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, guys. Impressive, and we look forward to seeing the stadium in person, and hopefully we can get that tour set up soon. So moving on, we are...
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Before we move on to the next agenda item, we still do have the infrastructure report as part of the MLS Stadium update.
Thank you, Monica.
Yeah. Madam Chair, this is Ron Gobble again. We can keep this quick. I think when I talked earlier, I showed the areas in yellow on the map. The work for that area, the design work is 95% complete. We received that package a week ago, and we're in the process of reviewing that along with a variety of other issues and working with the various metro agencies on permitting. And then also to bring you up to speed on the contractor solicitation is Jim Pachowski with CPS, as I said, our partner in the project management of this project. So Jim, if you want to kind of bring up to speed on that and DBE.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Ron. Good afternoon, everybody. Yes, we've gone through a solicitation process for a construction manager for the infrastructure work. There was an evaluation committee that was seated to review 3 very qualified proposals that came in, and a notice of intent to award was issued this week to Bell and Associates. And next step in that will be a contract negotiation meeting with them, hopefully very soon. And our intent is to bring a proposed contract to the board, hopefully in November. That's our goal, and to start construction work actually in January. On the infrastructure and design, overall, the project where it is right now is within budget, including the design amendment that you approved earlier today. And currently on the DBE stats, on the expenditures to date through September, we're about 35% expended to DBE firms. And then we'll be working with the CM to, once we get them on board and start bidding the packages out to get that portion underway. So if anybody's got any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Madam Chair, Melvin Gill, I have a question with reference to the RFQ construction manager. Is that appropriately termed? Should it be construction manager, general contractor? Is that what that is, or is this is Bell's responsibility intended to be construction manager only?
No, it was issued as construction manager. It'll be construction manager at risk. So essentially, it's the same as a general contractor. They will be holding all the subcontracts for this, and eventually we'll get to a guarantee maximum price arrangement. It'll be very similar to what they have at the stadium. But yes, in essence, they will be the general contractor.
When will they come on board with the designer on that?
The designer is a separate contract. As soon as we get a contract negotiated and executed with them, then they'll begin working immediately with the designer to make sure everything's coordinated properly.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Do we have any more questions on infrastructure? Okay, thank you.
Seeing none, thank you guys for your report. And I'm sorry, I almost skipped over you. Not intended. Okay, just trying to keep up here. I believe we are on item 7, consideration of approval of a land use agreement related to the potential selection and installation of a historic marker at First Horizon Park, commemorating the history of women's suffrage and Suffrage Day at the old Sulphurdale Ballpark in 1916. Monica?
Thank you. The National Collaborative for Women's History Sites and the William G. Pomeroy Foundation have partnered to launch a new historic marker program that will commemorate the history of women's suffrage in the U.S. And so 5 markers are planned for each state to acknowledge suffrage activities. The Pomeroy Foundation is a private grant-making foundation out of New York, and so they're providing grants through its National Women's Suffrage Marker Grant Program in order to support the recognition of historically significant people, places, or things that were instrumental to women gaining the right to vote in 1920. So 2 sites have been nominated in Nashville. The first one is Suffrage Day, which recognized the ball games that were played at the old Sulphurdale Ballpark in 1916 in support of women's suffrage. And then the second one will be at Meharry Medical College, where Black suffragist and physician Dr. Maddie Coleman graduated and worked with Frankie Pierce to register 2,500 Black women in Nashville to vote in 1919. So you just saw the map that was on the screen a second ago. The proposed location for Suffrage Day marker is at First Horizon Park on the Greenway. It requires Sports Authority's approval of the land use agreement, which you received last week in your board materials. That land use agreement has been reviewed by Metro Legal. The sounds, as usual, have been fantastic. They're supportive, and they really helped us identify a location that made sense, that was appropriate, that would be highly visible, and all of those things that we just are just critical to its success. So if selected, the Pomeroy Foundation will fund the cost of the marker and the transportation costs to get it to the site. The Sports Authority would be responsible for installing the marker, for costs associated with the installation and any expenses related to future maintenance. similarly to how we handled Coach Temple's statue, if you remember that several years ago. So, and you'll see the Coach Temple statue on the screen, but that is our responsibility. It is our responsibility to maintain, and the marker would follow suit. We actually just got a bid back from Public Works on the installation, $75. So I think that's a great deal. And then Paula Casey, who is the Tennessee State Coordinator for the National Votes for Women Trail Markers, is on the call and can also answer any questions that the board has.
Thank you, Monica. Are there any questions for Paula? I just would like to make a comment of this is a no-brainer, I think, and really exciting for our body to be a part of, and would just want to echo Monica in commending the Nashville Sounds organization for always being tremendous and stepping up to be supportive of this effort. So do we have any questions for Paula?
Paula, do you have any? I don't know if Paula has any comments or anything she would like to add.
Well, I just want to say thank you to Monica and her staff. You all have just been great to work with, and I'm really excited about this. We will get the land use permission letter submitted, which means that the National Advisory Committee and the Pomeroy Foundation will then consider the request. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be approved. We just have to go through the steps that they outline. So thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you. At this time, I believe we are ready. If we could get a motion on this item.
So moved. John Glassmeyer.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second. Melvin Gill.
We have 2 seconds, even better. So we are now going to take a roll call vote to consider approval of a land use agreement related to the potential selection and installation of the historic marker at First Horizon Park. Kathy Bender, how do you vote?
Aye.
Emmett Wynn? John Deering?
Aye.
Glenn Varner? Melvin Gill?
Yes.
John Glassmeyer?
Aye.
Frank Harrison?
Aye.
Dan Hogan?
Aye.
Aaron McGee?
Aye.
Anna Page?
Aye.
Ayes have it. The motion is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. And best of luck. We look forward to continuing to hear how things develop. Okay, item 8, consideration of a resolution authorizing the chair to execute a license agreement between the Sports Authority and competitor group for Nissan Stadium facilities for the Rock and Roll Marathon. Monica.
Well, this is something I think is familiar to everyone. On November the 21st, the Rock and Roll Marathon will be back. Obviously, this is a spring event that was delayed or postponed due to COVID-19. The competitor group will arrive on site November 16th and will be there through the 23rd. And they're always, they use our parking lots at the stadium, and they begin to use them before the event to prepare for the race, to build the start lines, set up the medical tents for attendees of the Health and Fitness Expo at the Music City Center. They're going to build a band stage. And so they rent the lots from the Sports Authority at a cost of $10,000. And the resolution before you would authorize the chair to execute the license agreement between the Sports Authority and competitor group for the Rock and Roll Marathon. Erica Larson and Drew Wolf with competitor group, I believe, are on the call and can answer any questions. But again, this is a license agreement that the authority considers each year.
And Monica, this was rescheduled, correct, from April?
That's correct.
How is the participation looking for this year's event, given the rescheduling and the pandemic?
Are Erica and Drew on? Would you like to speak to that?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. This is Drew Wolf with the Rock and Roll Group. Thanks for your time and thanks for the continued support and partnership. To speak directly to participation numbers, typically this event will see 25,000 runners when we've hosted it in the spring. Obviously, with the pandemic and this becoming much more of a local and regional event, we really expect closer to about a quarter of our participants to be here. We're going through an option and deferral period right now where we've reached out to everyone to just let them know, although we are hosting the event November 21st, if there's any reason that you do not feel comfortable participating, certainly you have the option to come and join us in spring of 21. And so we're certainly seeing a fair share of runners opt for that. But I would expect that we would see in the neighborhood of 8,000 to 10,000 runners that will participate on November 21st.
And what about safety measures or adjustments too that just to ensure the safety of the runners? What changes have kind of been implemented for this year?
Yes, absolutely. So changes, and again, we thank the board for the opportunity. What we've done is, in the past, we've traditionally started the event on Broadway at 8th Street to enhance social distancing and allow us to provide the space that we need and the safety for not only our participants, but our volunteers, spectators, support staff. We've moved that start line to Nissan Stadium. And with the use of the parking lots, we're able to socially distance everyone. And so a traditional marathon start where you would have, seen following the national anthem, 24,000 folks crossing the finish line, we're going to a much more controlled start. So you'll see 4 runners start at a time that are socially distanced. There'll be a pause, another 4 runners. And we're able to do that with the help of Metro staff, the police department, and controlling the roads. And frankly, the reduced numbers give us the ability to safely do that. As far as just working to provide a safe environment, we continue to just work with the Metro Public Health Department on a daily basis, really to review our plans, to make certain that what we can do here is good. And then we also look to an independent medical board that reviews our plans, makes certain that we're accounting for everything that we can do to make the event safe.
Thank you, Drew. Are there any additional questions for competitor group or comments on this? Okay, hearing no comments, thank you for your overview. And at this time, we would entertain a motion to approve the resolution authorizing the chair to execute a license agreement between the Sports Authority and competitor group for the use of Nissan Stadium for the Rock and Roll Marathon in November. Is there a motion?
So moved, Madam Chair.
I move approval. This is Kathy Bender.
Thank you. And do we have a second?
Second.
We are ready for a vote. Kathy Bender,
Aye.
Emmett Wynn, Don Deering,
Aye.
Glenn Parner, Melvin Gill,
Yes.
John Glassmeyer,
Yes.
Frank Harrison,
Aye.
Dan Hogan,
Aye.
I believe that is a yes from Dan Hogan. Aaron McGee.
Sorry about that.
Thank you. Aaron? How about Anna Page? How do you vote? Can you repeat that, Anna? You cut out on us.
Yes, aye.
Thank you. Ayes have it. The motion is approved. That brings us to our facility reports. Nearing the end of our agenda. Thanks everybody for hanging in there. I'd like to remind our facility partners to be sure and introduce yourself and try and adhere to our brief comment period. First up, it's my understanding we have our Titans who are 5-1 to talk about Nissan Stadium. Tighten up. Who's up?
Hello, this is Janine Kaufman. I'm going to share my screen, so give me about 2 seconds here. All right, hopefully everybody can see my screen. And so I want to apologize. We did have a full agenda. We've had a few people who had to jump off due to time commitments for some other calls. So Bob and I are going to lead the charge, and we'll do our best to cover some of their items. So hang tight. So my name's Janine Kaufman. I'm CFO and Senior Vice President for the Tennessee Titans. And so great to be on the call today. And we're going to kind of give you some scoop on what's happening at the Titans. As Kim mentioned, we are 5-1. Super excited about that. Our best start in a really, really long time. And as somebody who's been here for 24 years, it feels great to be 5-1. An exciting September and October was certainly had at the stadium, and Bob's going to kind of talk a little bit about that. As we walk through these, again, I'm going to be fast in the spirit of time. I think this Monica and group has sent this out to the group. Just a quick note that regarding Amy Adams Strunk and her commitment to the Black Lives Matters, this is something really important to our organization. And so I want to make sure everybody does have an opportunity at some point to get this and read through our commitment as a team. We've been doing a lot on social justice. And the one thing I really want to talk about is voting. We've got a lot of really great things that we're doing around voting. First of all, we are actually closing all league-wide facilities. So not just Titans, but every league-wide facility and all 32 clubs will actually be closed on Election Day. We did that so that the staff members, employees could go out and actually volunteer to work the polls, as well as make sure that they had time off from work to participate in voting. A few things the Titans are doing around voting, which is really exciting. We have printed up 15,000 I voted stickers that are Titans branded that we're going to be giving out at the polls. We are going to be dropping off snacks as thank yous to a lot of the poll workers next Tuesday. And then we are going to be doing some surprise and delight visits at some of the busier polling stations with some of our cheerleaders, T-Rack, and some of our drumline folks. So super excited about that. If you haven't gotten out and early voted and you wind up voting next Tuesday, maybe you'll see some Titans folks out and about. As a reminder, today is the last day of early voting and polls close at 7, if you didn't know that. So those are some few things around voting. We had an incredible kickoff week. Gil talked about this at our last meeting, and hopefully you'll get to see some of these slides in your presentation. I'm not going to spend a lot of time walking through that. The one thing we did do is we did adopt this year our brand new tagline, which is Tennessee Tough. We think it's a great brand and certainly has been shown on the field. Derrick Henry, Tannehill, just saying, some good stuff going on there. The mural, I want to make sure everybody has had a chance. Hopefully y'all have had a chance to get down and actually see the mural. It is unbelievable. And if you do go down, there is a virtual reality piece to the mural. So make sure you take your phones and really get a chance to really experience the mural in its full fashion. Lots of great activation around this. And there's been lots of fans taking pictures. And actually, for my birthday, my department actually got me a picture of this framed, which was really cool. I am going to move to Bob. So Bob, I'm going to let you kind of take over if you want to here and kind of give an update quickly about Nissan Stadium and what's been taking place at Nissan Stadium.
All right, so hopefully everybody can hear me, and welcome board members. Bob Flynn, Nissan Stadium and Tennessee Titans. We've been really back in business since September. We've had 4 soccer games, NSC soccer games in September. We had one Titans game. And then in October, we had 3 Titans games, and we've had 4 soccer games if we include this Saturday's game. So it's been pretty busy over here. And each game, so that's I think 12 events that we've had here. The Metro Public Health Department has been here for every game. Dr. Caldwell has been here, I think, for every game, and his staff. And they have helped us with making sure we're doing everything the right way, safely, socially distancing, masking, mask up. They've been very helpful being here at our game. So it's been appreciative, but they've also said that we've done a real good job. So I'm happy with that. November, we got 2 Titans games. We have a NSC game on November 4th. And as Ian said, they've qualified for playoffs. We don't know if that's going to be a playoff game here or not, but we're ready for them if they do. And then we just talked about the St. Jude Rock and Roll Marathon on the November 20th, 21st. So we're excited about having that here also, because for the first year, I think on that Thursday, Friday, we're actually going to host the sign up area. I'm drawing a blank on what that area is called, but we're going to host it around here on the inside of the stadium, and public health has been part of that as well. So we've been busy. December is going to be another good month for us. And, we're trying to get through this as like everybody else, doing it so safely. Looking forward to some more normal times, hopefully in 2021. But if anybody's got any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And if not, we might be done.
Thank you, Bob. It's nice to hear the phone ringing again. And
sorry about that.
No, it's a good sign. Optimistic. Okay, thank you guys. Appreciate that report and brevity. And next up, we have the Nashville Predators, who I know have also been working very hard on making sure we get out the vote as a community. And I believe recently received the Medallion Award from Secretary Hargett at the Secretary of State's office. So congratulations on that. And next up is our Nashville Predators organization.
Hi, Kim. Thank you very much for teeing us off there. This is David Kells with Bridgestone Arena and the Nashville Predators. And that was actually my leadoff piece of news, was that Secretary of State Trey Hargett did acknowledge our efforts. They called us, I believe, in December or January about the need for, registering people to vote, poll workers, all those types of things. And so we just kept working with them throughout the year. And it was great to receive that recognition earlier. We're currently still doing things to remind people of the deadlines and driving people to vote when they are available. So thanks for mentioning that one. Bridgestone Arena, we've been looking at alternate ways to use the facility. Currently there aren't big major tours going out for people to make money out on the road. You need to be able to sell 10, 20,000 tickets and string together 40, 50 dates. That just doesn't exist right now in the world. So we've been doing a lot of different things, some smaller things. The CMT Awards used us as their offsite testing. So everybody who's working on one of their filming crews would come to us, get their COVID test, and then wait for approval to be able to go to the job site. So they used us for, I think, 12 to 14 days, something like that. Well, we hosted a draft party in the Lexus Lounge for season ticket holders and some folks, and that went really, really well. Again, couple hundred people, kind of getting the gears going. It's been great to work with the health department. Hugh Atkins and Dr. Caldwell specifically have been awesome. Anytime we have a question or anytime we submit an event approval, they're quick with the turnaround, they're quick with the feedback, because they know we want to do events. We all want to get back to normal as soon as possible. And they've been very, very helpful with that whole process. Looking forward, we're looking at even more ways to use the arena as we can't use it to its fullest capacity. We're talking about setting up a major streaming hub at Bridgestone Arena because we've seen a lot of concert streams out there. They're smaller, they're intimate setups, but nothing can translate the size and power of a full arena concert. So we're looking at those options. And then down the line, there are still some events that don't require full capacity to make some money. So we're talking with those, maybe more TV-based events, maybe some things that are able to be profitable and out on the road and sell 1,500, 2,000, 3,000 tickets, something like that. So that's what we have on the horizon. But like I said, major tours, major events and things like that are ways off, just because they need to be able to sell to maximum capacity and put multiple dates on the road to be profitable. Any questions on Bridgestone Arena for the moment? Okay, I'll throw it over to Danny Butler to give us an announcement about Ford Ice Centers.
Danny Butler, VP and GM of Ford Ice Centers. I did my hair this morning with the hopes that my camera would be on, but yes, I guess I can't turn it on. We've been open for 4 or 5 months now, and that's been really, really good. We're operating at almost 100% capacity since we have reopened. We have tournaments, we have camps, we have youth leagues, we have learn to skate. We have a lot of our pre-hockey and pre-skating programs operating as well. So it's really been a good time since we've been back open. The hardest part about being open, and Bob and guys, I'm sure would agree to this, that being the mask police is probably the hardest part about being open. So, but it's been good. But one thing I really wanted to touch on, right before we kind of shut down everything for COVID, the NHL announced that they were going to have a grant available for all 32, including the new Seattle team, teams to apply for funding for their teams for different type of programming. We wrote a grant during COVID, and then recently got notified that we were approved with the grant. And the programs that are included are the Go Skate program, which is part of our Scott Hamilton Skating Academy program. Something we've done over the past few years that put kids through Learn to Skate, and it's absolutely free, and they get a free pair of skates behind it. So we know that works. We know we've done it. We've actually brought it to different counties and different states and really grown that. But what we're really excited about is we also wrote a grant for girls hockey. We started a girls hockey program last year. Prior to COVID, we had 150 girls go through the program for the first time. So it was really good. What's really great about this funding, though, is this will allow for 300 girls ages 4 through 18 to go through our youth hockey program. So it's from the very beginning, from the first time you're on the ice, Learn to Skate Bowl program, all the way to 18 and playing in our house leagues. So that allows for 300 girls a year over the next 2 years to go through the program. But in addition to it, it allows for us to host a tournament each year for the next 2 years that is absolutely free. So we're going to bring in about 30 girls teams, all ages, all skill levels, from all over the country into Nashville, into the 2 Ford Ice Centers to play a completely free girls hockey tournament. We don't have dates on either one of those launching yet. The girls program itself will probably launch February, March-ish of 2021. We want to make sure it's built and built correctly, make sure that it's sustainable even after this grant period. And then the tournament will either be next August or February, and the following August or February. So really an exciting time to grow an area of our market that we haven't focused on all that much. But now that we have the 4 sheets of ice, we do have that opportunity. So really excited about it. I was pretty brief on it. I can go into a lot more detail. If you have any questions, please ask or let me know, or shoot me an email. I'm happy. That's what I got. Any questions, let me know.
Thank you, Danny. One quick question. Is the Halloween skating, are those full? So we have this Saturday, we have a lot of cool things coming up for Halloween.
We have 2 try hockey for free events, which are free events. Those are completely full. And we are trying public skate for the first time on Saturday. Typically, public skates, we have about 300 skaters on the ice for that event. It's just kind of show up and come in and skate, and it's good and crowded and a fun time. For this Saturday, this is the first time we are hosting a public skate since being reopened. We've limited it to 50 skaters, so there's 50 people on 17,000 square feet of ice. Everything is pre-registered. You tell us your skate size, you tell us everything you need. I just checked right before this. We had sold 47 of those 50, so it is essentially sold out. So we're excited to do that. We have a handful of them through the month of November, and then we'll try to do a lot more over Christmas break as we're allowed to, and numbers stay where they are. So
Great, thank you for that update. Are there questions for Danny or David? Okay, guys, keep up the good work, and we appreciate it. Moving on, we are going to hear from our friends at the Nashville Sounds and First Horizon Park.
All right, good afternoon. Adam Neuse here with the General Manager for the Nashville Sounds. Also have Doug Scopel, Vice President. He'll present here shortly. As we do in past years, as soon as the World Series ends, we flip the page from the previous season and go full speed in the next. So we are excited to report that we flipped the page on 2020 and certainly putting all our efforts into 2021, and pretty optimistic that we'll get back to kind of where we were, and we're full speed ahead, hoping as in 2019, we had over 1 million fans come through the gates. So hoping that we can get back to that point in the next couple of years and be operating like we usually have. So similar to Bridgestone Arena, having a lot of healthy conversations on kind of some unique events and special events here at the ballpark, always trying to be more than just a baseball stadium and try to bring great events that we can all be proud of. Corporate partnerships, season ticket support continues to track above expectations, although they're a little bit lower expectations than normal. Just a testament to the city of Nashville for supporting our great teams. And business plan 28 during all this was to book batting practices. And so we just finished that up, ended up having 186 groups come out and do batting practice here at the ballpark. It was great to see some smiles here at First Horizon Park again. I got a quick little video here kind of showing some of the fun that people had. I think Doug's going to pop it up here. I guess while that's going, we were afraid it wouldn't go over very well. But you can at least see some of the images and some of the kids that enjoyed time out and a unique thing out at the ballpark. So outside of that, Third and Home, a new sports bar that we opened up overlooking the ballpark, is open and second full month of being open. Continues to have some success there despite all the restrictions that we have. I think I reported last month that Major League Baseball was going to take over minor league baseball operations, and that went into effect October 1. The future of what that looks like, still unknown, but I think we're pretty optimistic that there's good things coming ahead by being partnered with Major League Baseball and all the resources they have. Community relations standpoint, one of my favorite events that we do all year is a Sweets and Treats event that got canceled, obviously, but we have done a lot in our neighborhood and community here to give candy and support the kids here in our neighborhood with candy for Halloween. And then finally, I want to thank Bob Flynn, a lot of what he's doing to show the city that we can bring back fans into our stadiums. We're sitting there supporting them and rooting them on. We wanted to be trailblazers for them and do this ahead of time, but appreciate all their hard work and and showing the community we can get back to normal so we can have big crowds here again come April. So I think with that, I'll hand it over to Doug to talk a little bit about some of those discussions with the health department and tornado repair.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. Doug Scopel, Vice President of Operations with the Sounds in the Ballpark. Good afternoon, everyone. A couple notes, to echo what Bob talked about and what David Kells talked about. We've also been engaged in ongoing discussions with Dr. Caldwell and his staff, and to echo what they said, I mean, that group has been fantastic to work with as far as giving us feedback and ideas. And I'll say that Dr. Caldwell has been really good about connecting us to other venues in town. When he knows somebody's got a good idea that they presented to the health department, he's very quick and helpful to connect us to those and say, hey, this venue's doing this. You guys should talk and figure out if you can make it work at your place. And I just love that spirit, the collaborative spirit. And I think David Kells looks like he dropped off the call, but I want to say thank you to him. He's put together a venues call that we have a couple times a month, and a lot of folks have really contributed there, and not only in Nashville but statewide, to help us all kind of get better. This past week, Ashley from the Titans gave a wonderful update there, and I took a lot of good notes on that for whenever we do get back to doing what we can do here. We're all making each other better. To touch on the women's suffrage thing that you guys voted on a little while ago, when Monica called us about that a few weeks ago, obviously we're excited to have something like that on our property, but we had already, and I told her, we had already planned to have an event during our 2020 season that wasn't, to honor women's suffrage here in Nashville anyway. So I think sometime when we get into our 2021 promotional schedule, once we know what that looks like, I certainly think we are planning to obviously involve that historical marker and all the notes that go with that into when we do reintroduce that for next year. So I think it's a perfect hand-in-hand thing that we can all celebrate together on the wonderful history that this city has on the site where we're at right now of Sulphurdale. So much happened there other than baseball. I think it's fantastic. And then, last thing I wanted to touch on was just the ongoing repairs from the March tornado. I know it feels like forever ago for all of us, but we are still on the very end of getting all the work done here at the ballpark. I expect everything to be fully back up to what it was like before that. Sometime by the middle of November, the last couple items are some roof repairs and some internal drywall type things that were affected by the roof leaks. But other than that, we're ready to go. And as Adam said, just looking forward to some better direction from both our friends in baseball and, of course, the ongoing response to the pandemic and how we can operate moving forward. That's all I've got. If anybody has any questions.
Thank you, Doug. Are there any questions for Adam or Doug? That concludes our facility report section of the agenda. Thank you all for everyone for participating today. It's a tremendous effort to pull these meetings off, especially virtually. And we've had a significant lift today of a lengthy meeting. So we certainly appreciate your patience. And please keep November 19th on your schedule, because it appears that we will have to do this again virtually. My understanding, the governor extended a executive order for virtual public meetings through the end of the year. So November 19th, we will plan to meet virtually again at 10:30, and the Finance Committee will also meet prior to that. Not sure the date and time, but I'm sure Monica and the team will let us know. Thank you guys so much.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
May I just very briefly, I would like to commend and thank the Titans, the Predators, Sounds, and the Nashville Soccer Club for their support and assistance in promoting the importance of getting out the vote, filling out census forms, wearing masks, and the Black Lives Matters campaigns. It's very encouraging to have professional athletes involved in the realm of social issues, and I greatly appreciate it. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Melvin. Are there any other comments by the board? Seeing none, I would move to adjourn. And it sounds like a few folks are still on, and we appreciate everyone, and thank you so much. We are adjourned. Have a good day.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.